This is how I reframed the menopause. I went through quite an early menopause, and my confidence, all of the confidence I felt like I'd spent decades building up, just got kind of ripped out, and I was like, what the hell is this? And eventually I decided to reframe it, and I was like, actually there's a kind of witchy magic to this, because all of the stuff that is coming up for me, the people pleasing, the lack of confidence, it was like my brain and my body going, are you going to deal with this now, Bryony? Because if you don't, the next 45 years of your life are going to be miserable. And that's the sort of opportunity. So if there's any woman listening this morning who think their lives are ending because they're going through menopause or they're experiencing perimenopause, they're only just beginning.
Yeah.
Like, just start living life the way you want to, not the way you feel you should do.
Virgin Radio.
Stop trying to befriend the guest. She's my friend. I've known her for ages. All right, we used to get drunk together. Stop it now. Back away from the guest. Just gives your intro and jog on, mate. Go on.
She's a columnist, a best-selling author, a cold water swimmer, a multiple marathon runner. There's very little our next guest can't do. Her memoir, Mad Woman, is out today in paperback. So please welcome the always brilliant, very brainy Bryony Gordon.
All right, Brian, let's hear from Bryony Gordon. I was so impressed by her book. I tried to put an Insta reel together, and it took me 2 hours. Then my son had to help me. He's 16, and even he was pretty challenged by my asks. Bryony, welcome back. What a book, Mad Woman. How to survive a world that thinks you're the problem.
Yes.
All right, so headlines from the book. So it's chronological. So 2019, 2020.
Yes.
And it's notes from the phone.
It's a download from my brain during the pandemic.
Right, and there's notes from the phone, there's springboards to actions, there's different experiences, there's you squaring the circle of addiction and getting back to an eating disorder that you realise is where it all begun. It's not where it ended or necessarily still is. And let's go to the stars of the show. So we've got Edie, we got Harry as always, we got Holly as always, and
Peter, my therapist.
Come on, just talk, Bryony.
Well, it's really. I tell you what it's about. It's about. So I've experienced mental illness since I was a young kid. I have had obsessive compulsive disorder as a teenager, addiction, eating disorders, and I always thought I was a freak because of them. And during the pandemic, I felt really depressed. But it was the first time in my life I was like, so does everybody else feel depressed? And I realised because it's appropriate, because we're all cut off from one another. And I had this kind of brainwave where I thought, what if actually mental illness is a really appropriate way to feel? It's our brain's very sophisticated way of telling us something is not right in our lives. And it sort of got me completely rethinking my mental illness. And I'd sort of decided that actually the mentally ill are the most sane people. It's, people talk about an anxiety epidemic at the moment. Like, of course we're going to be anxious because look, we live in this world that we're being constantly bombarded
Is it mentally ill or is it mentally aware?
Exactly. So I realised during the pandemic I also developed binge eating disorder, which, as you said, was the first thing I ever got addicted to was food. And I was sort of creeping down in the dead of night, eating large quantities of sausages. And I felt this terrible shame about it. But I later discovered that it's actually the most common eating disorder there is.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to dig into that, food and diet culture, and how that has affected our lives as women.
And now this and men, I've got to say, because I love this book, and from a man's point of view, honestly, it's so much of it spoke to me. I know I won't have stuff from the menopause, but I sort of will, and I know that other things won't affect me, like the menstrual cycle, but they sort of do.
Yeah.
But also, you talk about in the middle of all this, you're sober. It is very funny. This book races along, everyone. I read it in one afternoon with my dog Sparkle. She gave it the paws up, which is great.
Well, that's the really important review.
When you think you've broken your sobriety, that's hilarious, but also really sort of my empathy for you was huge. All your mates thought you'd gone mad. Just give us a little framing of that, please.
Well, yeah, so I think when the pandemic started, I was 2 years sober, and I thought, oh, thank God I'm sober. But sobriety is an amazing thing, because I don't know about you. Are you still not drinking?
100%.
Brilliant. But I thought when I stopped drinking, I was like, then all my life will get better. I'll stop being an idiot.
Yeah.
I was going to swear then. I'll stop being a bleep, bleep, bleep because I'll stop getting drunk and doing stupid things. But then what happened was I wasn't getting drunk and doing stupid things, but I also opened up this world whereby it was like all of the things that I'd been drinking on were suddenly there. It was like I was like this raw, open wound, and I had I had nothing else. I was like, what? Oh my God, I've got to deal with this mess under this carpet that I've been shoving under the carpet for decades of my life. And so for me, sobriety it's wild. Like I've heard that saying, you come for your drinking and you stay for your thinking.
Yeah. I think therefore I am. No, I drink therefore I am.
So like I realised also drinking, I thought drinking was the problem. And I realised no, drinking for a long time was, again, it was my solution.
Just read that bit there from there, if you don't mind. Just give us 4 lines from that if you don't mind.
So often we think that stopping drinking or getting clean is going to be the end of our lives, but actually it's the start of them. Putting down alcohol is the first step, but it doesn't mean you're cured. The thing that made you pick up all that alcohol is still there, and that's you.
You're making yourself laugh with your own words here. Now, when you thought you'd broken your sobriety,
oh yes,
that was via some cough medicine, wasn't it? Something?
I thought I'd relapsed because I'd had some night nurse.
Yes. Now that sounds like a joke, but it is not a joke, or was not a joke.
No.
Your friends thought you had gone crazy.
Because
people sometimes drink night nurse when they can't get booze, basically.
They do, yeah. I wasn't drinking night nurse because I couldn't get booze. I was drinking night nurse because I was unwell.
Yeah.
But my brain started to say...
Which is why they sell night nurse.
Yeah.
You were drinking it for the reasons they sell it.
Yes, yeah. So it's about what's the intention? But my brain started saying to me, my obsessive compulsive brain, which is always trying to tell me that I've done something wrong.
Yeah, you're going to die.
Yeah, either you're going to die or you're a serial, you're going to kill people.
Come and get you.
Or they're going to come and get you. It suddenly started saying, you've messed up your sobriety. And it became like almost... like I was deluded. I couldn't drink a glass of water because I was scared. I thought, what if someone's put gin in it? I mean, this is OCD to me. It's like your brain refusing to acknowledge what your eyes can see.
Crazy,
That's how I describe it. And what I realised was I hadn't relapsed on alcoholism. I'd relapsed on OCD, which is every bit. I mean, I almost have to treat OCD and alcoholism as the same thing.
Yeah.
They're the thing that in my brain that wants me dead.
Yeah, well, they come from the same circuit, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is your brain.
Yeah.
And your being. Fantasies in my 40s, number one, I thought about this so many times in my 40s. Being hospitalised with exhaustion.
Yeah.
So I could just have a rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think
I
this
would
is
love
like...
to know how many people listening right now, like woke up this morning and thought, God, I would love to be hospitalised for exhaustion.
Just for like a couple of nights.
Sedated.
Podcasts for men versus podcasts for women. This is hilarious because this is so true. I read this book yesterday and I'm thinking, this is A, really funny, as always. B, really true. C, really thought-provoking. D, all the way to Z, just buy this book, Mad Woman, How to Survive a World That Thinks You're the Problem. Binge eating, fluctuating hormones, feeling like you're going mad? Join the club. Podcast for men versus podcast for women. For men, an inconsequential man interviews another inconsequential man about how living a keto lifestyle enabled them to take over the world. For women, an incredibly accomplished woman interviews another incredibly accomplished woman about all the times they fudged up. And that's it. You're right.
Yeah.
Because all the podcast bros are just pontificating and procrastinating, and then they go on tour with their procrastination and pontification, and loads of blokes buy tickets to watch them pontificate and procrastinate, and that's what they've achieved. And you get to like superpower women, getting after it together.
I'm guilty of that, though. Doing a podcast where I talk to I just almost exclusively each week talk to other women about all the ways in which we've failed and fudged up.
Yeah. However, you do sometimes get women on who are amazing, and you go.
All the women I get on are amazing.
Or sorry,
instead of interviewing them about their amazingness, we talk about how they. I guess it's how you turn your negatives into positives.
Yeah. Do you have any reminiscences from this class action by the local neighbourhood watch?
What?
Do you remember that? Yeah. So you had this thing where the neighbourhood watch were getting together. Do you remember that bit?
No,
Okay.
where I thought the neighbourhood watch were going to get
Yeah,
together.
they were getting together. There was some kind of class action against you for... they wanted you to tamp down your behaviour.
What, while I was drinking?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I used to sit in the garden
Correct.
drinking and smoking.
And they were like, she can't do this anymore. So the neighbourhood watch got together. It wasn't an official class action.
No, I don't... Am I... Oh, God, have I forgotten this bit of the book? You have
may
to
well
read
have
it
done.
out.
And there's so much in here. I haven't forgotten it because I only read it yesterday. Yeah, seriously.
I mean, I was very badly behaved in my drinking days.
Now, Eckhart Tolle gets a couple of mentions, more
love
than a few
him.
mentions. I love him too. However you say, we can't all be Eckhart Tolle, you say, but I'm not Eckhart Tolle, just for heaven's sake. Just in case you hadn't noticed, I'm not a spiritual teacher. Yeah, on Oprah Winfrey's show every other week, he believes that if you accept the present moment, you'll find the perfection that is deeper than in any other norm untouched by time.
Well, I love reading Eckhart Tolle, but I am not very good. I don't know if this resonates with you, Chris, but
Yeah.
meditation, I sometimes think that meditation, asking people in crisis to meditate is like asking someone in a lead suit to go for a swim.
Yeah.
It's great, but it's really difficult.
Just don't think about monkeys.
But also, it's what happens when people go to doctors and they're brave enough to tell the doctor, I think I've got a problem. I think I've got a anxiety or OCD or something else. And the doctor says, this is my experience. They'll say, have you tried meditation?
Yeah.
And it's the most depressing thing to hear. So while I love Eckhart Tolle, this is a book for people that would like the idea of Eckhart Tolle, but aren't able to.
I love the idea of climbing Mount Everest, but I don't really
no, I
want
don't.
to do
No,
it.
I'm going to tell you something, Chris. I don't love the idea of
No.
climbing Mount Everest.
I understand. Well, you sort of climbed many mountains anyway,
Yeah.
higher than Mount Everest. I love your charts. I love the list of questions. Obviously, the story is the thing. The story is the page-turning thing. But look at this, for example. Page 291. The woo-woo table versus the wellness fad. All right, so we're fully signed up to the woo-woo now, aren't we?
I love the woo,
All right,
the way
so-
of the woo.
So the way of the woo. So the woo-woo version makes you feel uplifted and hopeful. Who doesn't want a bit of that? The wellness fad makes you feel like you need to lose weight.
Yeah.
The woo-woo take is free or reasonably priced to cover materials and labour. The wellness version requires a loan. The woo-woo always allows you to be yourself. The wellness version promises to make you better. The woo-woo is practiced by all kinds of people. The wellness fad is practiced only by people in yoga leggings that cost about £150.
Well, I do think this is really interesting because wellness has taken over the world.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to be quite careful with it because while obviously it's wonderful that people want to feel better and be healthy, some of it I do think verges into sort of disordered behaviour.
Oh, totally.
You know, and I saw the other day someone was advertising basically they were like the best electrolytes for your brain fog, and it was like science backed, and it was, you know,
Elements.
subscribe, and I was like, it's basically Diarylite in a lovely packaging, in nice packaging, you know, and it's like I can get really carried away with it, and I think I have to be a bit sort of circumspect about that stuff.
100%. Evidence that you're a miracle. So on a good day, you know, it's not about living a life. It's about living the life that you see, or the story you tell yourself of the life you see on that particular day, isn't it? And on a good day, you can tell yourself things like page 58. On the day you were conceived, a single sperm beat millions of other sperms in the equivalent of the Sperm Iron Man Challenge at all the Olympics in order to fertilise an egg that would only have been there for a couple of calendar days each month. That's who we are.
It's true. And also, Chris, as we know, then that fertilised egg, right, doesn't always go the distance, right? And then the day you were born is the most dangerous day of your life. And then every day until right now, you've stayed alive. You are a miracle, and the universe wants you to be you. It does not want you to be, I don't know, Kim Kardashian or whoever. And this is really important. I lost a really dear friend a couple of months ago of cancer, and I watched them die, and you know, they were in their early 40s, and it's so, honestly, life is so bloody precious. It really is. And we do only have today. Like, I'm sounding like Eckhart Tolle. We only have now, you know, and it is a gift. And I just hate that there are women out there who who waste their energy loathing themselves. So, I often get, because I like to run marathons in my pants because I'm a bit of a larger lady, and show that exercise is for everyone, and I'm happy to show my bikini on Instagram even though I'm a size 18. I get lots of messages from women saying, I wish I had your confidence. And I'm like, I don't have confidence. Confidence is a trick. All I have is a desire not to waste another moment of my one precious life hating on myself.
Well, you do have confidence. I'm going to say that you have confidence, because confidence is a consequence, and they do sound similar. I think it's handy to remember that they sound similar, because confidence isn't something you can get, you can have, you can order on Amazon, but it is something that you end up with, not permanently, temporarily, after putting in loads of work, asking yourself loads of questions, and having faith in yourself. And the resultant of that is confidence. Now, whether you want to call it confidence or not doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you can large it. It doesn't mean you can do things that you're not able to do. It's different, but it is the result. It is the scorecard of believing in yourself and doing the work. What about the late night chats with your fridge? There's a talking fridge in the book, everyone.
We've all got a talking fridge, haven't we?
Some of us have different conversations with it than others, but yes, I agree. I think we may also have a talking freezer.
Yes, I definitely have a talking freezer
We
as
also
well.
have a talking chocolate drawer, a talking crisp drawer, and a talking biscuits drawer.
Oh my God, the talking crisp drawer is really dangerous.
Yeah. Anyway, you do have the talk. Tell us about some conversations with the fridge.
Well, that was during the pandemic. I was so obsessed with not picking up a drink that I sort of didn't notice. I was like, oh my God, I'm sober. I'm so glad I'm sober. I didn't realise I'd fallen headfirst into this other addiction, which was food. And I don't think we talk about this enough. And I would creep down. It was like the fridge was calling to me, saying, come and eat me. And it didn't want me, obviously, to eat like the broccoli or the salmon or whatever. It wanted me to eat... This is really mortifying to say out loud, even though I've written in the book. Raw chorizo cooking. I mean, so it's not technically raw, but cooking sausages. You know those things?
Yeah,
you know
100%. You talk about those a lot in the book. You also talk about your soul and the still small voice wishing me no harm, bears me no ill, wants only the best for me, and that's because this still small voice is my soul. Does it sound cheesy? I don't care. When I wrote Mad Girl, even though I was told that writing about my type of OCD was inappropriate, I was listening to my soul. When I set up Mental Health Mates, even though I was in the midst of a breakdown and already had a full-time job, I was listening to my soul. When I decided to run marathons in my pants, even though I was a size 20 then and it was entirely possible everyone would laugh at me, I was listening to my soul. When I took myself to rehab, even though I couldn't actually afford it, I had a book deadline to meet, I was listening to my soul. But for the last few years, I've not been listening to my soul. And that's the trick, isn't it? That's the evil trick. You can be completely on par with your soul, you can be best mates with your soul, and then one day it either deserts you, you forget it exists because you woke up in the wrong frame of mind or in the wrong place. And so how do you reconnect with your soul, having known it so well?
I every morning wake up and my soul is lost in a blizzard of fear. Like I genuinely,
Still.
I wake up, that I've realised my default position is I wake up and go, oh my God, it's another day.
You can replace that with "Dear God" and just immediately start saying a prayer.
And I immediately say, I don't know. My brain starts saying to me, you can't do any of the things you're supposed to do today, Bryony. You need to cancel them, stop them, stay in bed. And I immediately have to start proving that voice in my brain wrong.
Yeah. So don't start with "Oh my God." Just start with "Dear God" or "Dear." You know this better than I do.
No, I do, but I'm just being honest.
Of course you are.
It's really important to remember that I think of myself as like the reverse of a charged phone.
Yeah.
Overnight, instead of charging up, all the good knowledge that I've learned during the previous day is depleted, and I have to remind myself of it immediately.
But that's great as well, because that's about awareness and that's about zooming out. So Tash and I, we were discussing something last night and we both stopped. It was 7:30. We'd had story time with the little ones. The big ones were downstairs just smelling, because that's what they do. And, there are various smells that creep up the stairs. Weekend breakfast, you want that. Weekday nights, you don't want that.
Teenage boy.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing like it. And we suddenly stopped ourselves. We were talking about something. We stopped ourselves. We said, oh, no, this is one of those conversations we can't have now because we've run out of brain energy for this decision. It was a decision kind of thing. Your got to goes By the way, this morning, speaking of oh my God, I woke up before my alarm this morning at 9 minutes past 4. My alarm goes off at 20 past 4. And the oh my godness of my morning this morning, Bryony, was, oh great, I've got 11 minutes to get my anxiety out of the way.
So how do you get your anxiety out of the way?
I don't know, but I just thought I've got some time.
Is that what you run to? Do you still run to work?
Yeah, no, but this is in bed. This is 30 miles away. So it'll be the Lord's Prayer, it'll be gratitude, it'll be breath work. But I've got another 11 minutes to sort this out, as opposed to, I've got the day.
Yes.
That
reframe of, instead of, this is another really one, I've got to do this.
Look, here we go.
I get to do this.
Okay, so you get to, you've got your get to do this list, but in on page 301 you've got your got to go list, which I love. That overwhelming imposter syndrome that's really bad in the last 3 years, that's got to go. That ridiculous people pleasing, that's got to go. The endless hypervigilance, that's got to go. The giving away of my power in the hope that it makes other people's lives easier, that's got to go. The believing that I'm a product with a sell-by date rather than human, that's got to go. It's all got to go. It's got to change.
This is how I reframed the menopause. I went through quite an early menopause, and my confidence, all of the confidence I felt like I'd spent decades building up, just got kind of ripped out, and I was like, what the hell is this? And eventually I decided to reframe it, and I was like, actually, there's a kind of witchy magic to this, because all of the stuff that is coming up for me, the people pleasing, the lack of confidence, it was like my brain and my body going, are you going to deal with this now, Bryony? Because if you don't, the next 45 years of your life are going to be miserable. And that's the sort of opportunity. So if there's any woman listening this morning who think their lives are ending because they're going through menopause or they're experiencing perimenopause, they're only just beginning.
Yeah.
Like, just start living life the way you want to, not the way you feel you should do.
The first thing there is to recognise it. And again, it's the same for men. It is the same. We've just got a different version of a similar kind of challenge. Life is there to be hard. It's meant to be hard. And we should embrace the fact that it's hard. By the way, hard it can be really most of the time, 9% of the time, really enjoyable. There's a real adventure. It's funny that we go to Adventureland. We've got life. We go to theme parks. We've got life.
Yeah.
That's why people go into the virtual gaming at night, because it's just so much easier, that two-dimensional world, and that's the big con as far as that's concerned. As I say, there's so much in this book. Of course, it ends up, not of course, but I've read it, so the menopause, the perimenopause, that's in there as well. There's you trying to sustain your sobriety. There's you revisiting your childhood. There's you in the third year of the clarity of sobriety, which is interesting in itself, because as you say, it's like going to the opticians, isn't it? And being given laser treatment. Do you want 20/20 vision of your own life?
Do I want to be able to see the leaves on the trees?
I don't know. And your daughter's getting older and she wants a phone. The daughter wants a phone. Diaries are really interesting. I can't believe all this is in this book. We got to talk. Can we just talk about Harry and Holly, your two pillars? Just for people who don't know, who's Harry, who's Holly?
Harry's my husband, unless we're talking about Prince Harry.
Well, you do have a couple of Harrys. You're harried by Harrys.
Harry's my husband. Yeah, he's the sort of...
Oh, by the way, in the book is also the prep for the Prince Harry interview. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, yes.
That's in there as well.
Yeah. And Holly is this woman I met on my first day at rehab. I turned up at rehab 8 years ago, almost, and thought I was the worst woman in the world. I had a 4-year-old daughter. I was 37, and I was an alcoholic. And I thought that, I was full of shame. And I walked in and the rehab counsellor said, meet this woman here. It's her first day too. And her name was Holly. We had the same sobriety date. And she also had a 4-year-old. And she lived a mile away from me. And I was like, oh my gosh, you were there all along. And Holly and I have Holly has since retrained and now works in the rehab we met in, which is amazing. And we're like sober sisters. And it's just as well we didn't meet when we were drinking, because we might not be alive. Put it that way. But
those versions of you aren't alive
But
anymore.
Holly is, so it's funny, this is the other thing, like we've had this whole other life, I think that's when you stop drinking, or when you get to that jumping off point where you you have to stop, but you don't know how to. You think your life is over, You think your life is
so
over.
crazy, isn't it?
And actually, that version of your life is over.
Yeah, the
But
skip
what-
fire. The skip
the bin,
fire is
yeah,
over.
yeah. The bin fire's over. But what you don't know is there's this whole other world that is waiting for you. You just need to step into
It's so
it.
beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It's so much better.
Which is why people who go through 12 steps have a second birthday. So Mark Wogan said to me, because he saw the post yesterday, he said, I celebrated my 32nd birthday last week.
Wow, 32 years. And,
Sober.
But I do love that. I remember that my first year of sobriety, I was like, the best thing about being sober is you get 2 birthdays like the Queen.
Yes,
The king.
you do. Yes,
The
you
queen
do.
you are,
the
or
queen
the king
or the
you
king,
are.
the king or the queen,
Yeah,
the
so
king and the queen.
My sobriety birthday. My sobriety birthday, I always end up inadvertently spending with you, Chris.
Because it's Carfest.
It's Carfest, yeah.
Oh, what day is it?
August the 27th.
Okay, well, you won't this year because we finished on August 24th.
Oh,
but maybe we'll stick
usually-
around. Maybe she'll stick around. We'll go on a spa crawl. You talk about the spa chat's really funny as well. Right, Harry.
My husband, what about him?
I mean,
He's great.
Saint Harry. I don't know.
No, I mean, but he always says, he's like, you do make me out to be.
Yeah, well, you do.
Yeah, well, can I have to?
Well, because he might be.
Yeah, but he is. I used to describe him as my carer. Because it was, when I was drinking and using, it was.
How did he stick around? I know why he stuck. Well, he stuck around because he had a big enough why, because he loves you, and if you've got a big enough why, you'll always find a how. But is he as chilled as he comes across?
He's so chilled. He's like the different. Well, you must have met him at Carver, and he's like, we're like the opposite. He's very. He used to say to me when I was in my, when I was spiraling, he'd say, "Why can't you just be more stoic?" He's a sort of army kid.
Yeah.
He grew up on army bases.
That would do it, wouldn't it?
I don't know why it works, but it does.
I don't know why it works, but that's us. Got a minute left.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And I love the stories. It just makes me so happy. I love my son's always said, for instance, that if he makes all the money, he's going to get a brown Lamborghini, so that when people say, "Why have you got a brown Lamborghini?" he can say, "What colour is your Lamborghini?"
Yes.
And you have the same similar sort of thing when people ask you about what time do you do the marathon in?
Oh, yeah. When people always say to me, what time did you do the marathon? It's like they can't believe it. They want a certificate for me to prove that I've done it. And I always say, well, what time did you do the marathon in? And they say, I haven't done it. And I say, well, that's exactly then. Bleep off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do that. I've got a little hack for you if you want on that one.
What?
Okay, I just say 2:59. And it just shuts them out, and they don't know what to say, and they don't say really. They go, "Oh, okay."
But you see, I want to represent all of the slow runners. A marathon for me. I'm hopefully going to do London this year, and I hope I'll get it done in like 5:30, 5:45, and I'll be so delighted. And for me, it's like, I would say this to any people listening who would like to run, but they're scared and they think that they're going to be laughed at, or they're not going to be fast enough, or people are going to overtake them. It's like, don't think about it. Don't worry about pace. Just go. But like, also those of us, like Kipchoge, great. He does them in 2 hours. You're doing them in 2:59.
Yeah, exactly. I'm your 2:59 guy.
But
we're like 2:59 brothers.
That's what's your.
He actually has done it in 2:59.
Okay, but who's the real elite athlete? You sitting up, or sitting on the sofa after 3 hours with your feet up, or me still out there running after 6 hours.
Well, we talked to Paul Radcliffe about this. So Paula's running again this year for the first time in a while, and she's running Boston as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she's running with her daughter.
She's running with her daughter, and she's having to train like a normie because she's slower than she used to be. She's 50 now, isn't she, Paula, I think?
Still be faster than me.
The thing is, she said to us a couple of weeks ago, because she was on the show, "Oh my gosh, the longer you stay out there, the harder it is, isn't it?" That's why she used to whip it through. Just let's get on with this.
Yeah, I do have friends who are like, "Oh, Bryony," it's so funny. They'll go, "Can I come out? I'd love to come on your long run with you." And I'm like, "Sure, I'm really slow." And they're like, they always say, "Oh no, I'm really slow."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "No, you're not."
You have no idea.
And they are, and 8 hours in, they do start to flag.
Good for you. Gel? Nah, I'm all right, thanks. Ham sandwich? Yes, please.
I do. Sometimes I'm like flapjacks.
Sandwiches, picnics.
Yeah, not those awful gels which make you go to the loo.
There's a walkathon world waiting to explode, and there would be nothing wrong with that.
I think I'll probably do the London Marathon in my underwear again this year because it doesn't get old. You know, seeing a 44-year-old woman.
No, it's very handy
with her cellulite wobbling around.
It's really useful. It's really useful. Bryony, this book is amazing.
Oh,
I think it's my favourite of yours. I don't know. I don't even know why I said that. I just think every time you write one, I go, that's my new favourite one. It's brilliant. Bryony Gordon, How to Survive a World That Thinks You're the Problem. It's a really fun and fantastic. It's instructive. It's useful. It's helpful. It's a great companion. And I sort of wish I'd read it slower so I still had it to read.
Well, I'll just write another one for you.
Have you got another one going? On the go?
I do. I have a novel on the go.
Hey! All right. Come on. Bryony, great to see you.
Lovely to see you.
Can we hear a Bryony Gordon? She's the best. It doesn't get any better than Bryony Gordon. Wow. Oh, she's the best.